Okay, today is August 24th, 23. Oh, my Lord. My Lord. The things that happened today, okay? They were following, harassed me. People pulled up next to Acme when I went in and said, none of this is funny. They didn't have a court order be in her home before. Duh. They wouldn't give a court order to drug dealers or my ex-husband's girlfriend's dad and his drug friends to stalk me. Been done by police and agencies in a court order of protected life custody only. And like Officer Reinhardt Louisville said, even the FBI couldn't be in your home outside a protected life case of a statement, say go to jail. It's entrapment. Basically, it's a Fourth Amendment. You don't realize how illegal it is. We actually have a Constitution. See where retired Judge Pete wants people to feel that they have, in the drug cartel, that they have no rights. We live in Judge Pete land instead of the United States of America. That him and the drug cartel can break in anybody's home, stalk them, and it's not stalking. That there's no stalking laws, there's no right to privacy. That he can have the drug cartel play with their personal tapes and brag they put a shower seat in the other room. And then where you wake up with bruises, throwing up, heart racing, almost passing out in front of people, and worse, a severe personal infection. That you're being drugged, beaten, raped, and because they're amnesia drugs and you're sleepwalking, you don't know what happened to you, and they had drugged you up and told you to say something stupid and alter their tapes. That they can violate you on those kind of levels, and you're in trouble. See, today somebody pulled up and said, what on earth's going on? They didn't have a court order being in her home. Well, of course not. They would never include the ex-husband's girlfriend's dad because conflict of interest, that'd be thrown out. Like Officer Reinhardt said, Portage County couldn't work a case against her in her whole life. Because your whole life, because it'd get thrown out for conflict of interest. Friends and family. And they go to jail. It's 1 to 10 years and $1 million fine. They want to play. All right. And other people were saying stuff too around Acme. Well, I go up to Akron. I'm leaving my phone play the tapes I've made before. I go out to switch them real quick. And some guy's off in the distance and said, what is this? Some kind of government conspiracy that they're selling federal technology and information, and then they're having people make fun of victims they're stealing from. Okay. Another of my client's neighbors come out and said it's some drug dealer. He had broken and drugged up Karen before and told her to say a bunch of stupid stuff. Now he's hiring people to make fun of her. Off in the distance, some of the guys from the case are here. We found out they made fun of everyone for falling for this. They held that off. They did. They made fun of the FBI too. See, that's where on a recorded line, what the fucking hell were they laughing at? Like those girls said on Tuesday in Panda Bear. We all know, and the people were saying the FBI made fun of her for being human trafficked. Nobody's to say a word to her. Those girls go to walk out and said those two agents were making fun of her for being human trafficked and didn't understand what was happening to her because they were drugging her. And they were making fun of her because she was being drugged and raped. And she didn't know what was happening to her. And they were making fun of her on a recorded line. They need to arrest those idiots. Where they yell out, well, we could always use Pete's weird with yourself. It's the shower scene and washing. That's why they mocked the FBI June 7th, 23. FBI agent John fell for the stunt at tapes before. Oh, come on now. That agent actually fell for the stunt at tapes before? You're kidding. Is that what's going on? John actually fell for stunts of tapes before. You're kidding. Is that what's going on? FBI agent John fell for the stunt at tapes before. Ha 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 ha. June 7th, 23. Walmart 62. 10, 11 o'clock in the morning by the front bathrooms. The cult Lighthouse Tabernacle. Katie's sister Jody and her friends are screaming out mocking FBI agent job. November 18th, 22, Walmart 62. They still have it. 2 to 6 p.m. by the hair salon. They scream out at all the air comes in. All the tapes before were me and not her. It was my idea to come up with it, my idea to say it, my idea to do it. For all these people turn on her, they fell for it. The guy's like, well, if it was only you, I could take care of it. He said, I know it's that bad, and I still fell for him. November 24, 22, the nurse at Mercy Medical that was taking care of me was talking to Lady Canton officer. Well, we all heard that Eric made fun of us for falling for it. Nobody better say a word to her again. Said, well, you know the agent that bullied her into saying she was lying when she wasn't. We all know about John. And well, see, people need to be horrified. I called the FBI. Those people walked into a federal office, admitted that they were peeking toms and they were stalking me. They admitted they had fake sodium pentothal reports. They had been drugging me to get the truth out of me. And he didn't arrest them. That they were taping everybody in bedrooms, bathrooms, and nudes. And he didn't arrest them. And that includes they obtained and dispensed kiddie porn of little kids going potty in the bathroom. They were sex trafficking videos of the victim, and he didn't nail the bastards to the desk. Now, that's where they're mocking him. The crackhead tapes. They were done by the drug traders that were human trafficking people. They didn't have a quarter to be in my home. It wasn't done by a police department. It wasn't done by the FBI. It was done by a bunch of crackheads running a drug scam on a victim. They were human trafficking. And were framing her and goofing on her and raping me and leaving me drugged, beaten, raped with a migraine headache, almost passing out, giant bruises, throwing up, and a severe swollen personal infection. And I had been going to Altman Family Physicians all summer long. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And they're giving me iron pills, stuff for headaches, stuff for nauseousness, pills and creams for the personal infection. And here I'm being human trafficked out of my own home. It's a new human trafficking scam. Breaking in people's homes and violating them. And photoshopping is clicking and pasting. And as if those agents hadn't heard about roofies, where you're sleepwalking for 4 to 6 hours. My one friend said that one of his neighbors woke up and some guy was high walking around her living room naked. Called the cops on. Didn't even know what he was doing. Just walking around her living room naked. Boy, when that wears off, he's going to be really shocked. See, I told you about my coworker Dara got roofied in a bar, left with a bunch of people she didn't know she left with. And ended up in a puddle of pee the next day. She's throwing up, dizzy. Can't hardly sit up. Sound familiar. 2 months later, she found out she was pregnant. She's like, how can I be pregnant? I have not had sex with anybody. They had, her friend said that she took a drink from her drink at the bar, and she started acting happy. A group of people walked up, and she was talking real nice to them, left with them willingly. And they raped her and left her in a puddle of pee. That's how sick all this is. She don't even remember talking to him. My neighbor Mike got roofied in a bar, came up to me, and he said, I've been sitting in my car for hours. I don't know how I got home. I'm like, go sleep it off. He's like, you don't understand. I got $80 in my pocket. I'm like, check your bank. He's like, I took 100 out. I got $80 in my pocket. That would explain, what did I buy with the box with mustard in it, though? He said, and how did I change my shoes? And I'm like, oh my God, go sleep it off. He said he was sick the next day. He found out at that bar during the second beer, he started talking crazy, told people he was an astronaut, nice to other ones, told other ones to F off. He told me he was a New York cop. When I told him what he said to me, he said, I was never a New York cop and I was never an astronaut. He said, people said I was talking out of my head. And he was out sleep driving. They're sleepwalking chemically. I've talked to sheriffs about him. He said, and sheriffs have even told me several of them, those amnesia drugs are so bad, you're under somebody else's control, and you're wide awake, and you have no idea what you're saying and doing for 4 to 6 hours. So you're going to say that agent didn't know about roofies, their fake sodium pentothal reports? See, that's where the other day when I was out in Belden, walked out of Kohl's, the main cop that went to Dave was out there with a lady. He said, none of this is funny. We weren't allowed to tell her. The FBI left her up there. They left me in the middle of a drug cartel. Said, was the drug cartel part of this? And he said, yeah, we seen them. Well, we didn't realize it. What are they doing, hiding in their office? They're everywhere. They're all over me. They pull the case, they can get them. Sheriff's got 800 of them connected to him. Marshals. That's where my friend said he had a friend in the police department. They got ready to take care of this, and they grabbed 800 of them nationwide. It was that big of a case. Back in February, he told me in January 20th, 23, they're getting ready to take care of it. We're talking about different things in the case. Well, men are dressed business casual, watching while we're talking. Before they took care of it. They could have asked me nicely. Time got done drilling me in front of them. I stuttered for 2 days and cried, and I cried for 2 days. Don't do it to me. Those people tortured me. And they told everybody they were FBI. I was scared to death of them. I thought the FBI had lost their ever-loving mind. They have fake badges. And they're the drug cartel. See, that's where the main cop told that lady. And I seen him. It was the drug cartel doing it to her. And said, did her ex-husband defend her? And he said, yeah, we taped him. I did too. Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids, you wouldn't hurt anyone. She said, did no one ever talk to her? He said, no. She said, they really did frame her before. I thought, where you been? They've been bragging that since 18. Drugged and told to say stuff where that old man showed up. For every idle word you tell on us, I'll turn it on you. Tried to leave Dave, then list me that weirdo, and then wrong night down and about lying. And I had a bruise on my leg, and I was throwing up, and he's trying to, in front of cops, telling people that he drugged me up and told me to say that. I got away from him, had to verify I was dressed modestly, and they only made fun of the back of my knees once. And I didn't even own that nightgown back then. And we were video chatting. See what I mean? They changed everything with drugs. I never talked to that man. He broke in my house, he broke in my bedroom and stabbed me with a date rape drug. You know, some lady pulled up and went, oh, Karen. See, people need to start looking at, oh my God. That's where some lady said before, it's disgusting what's going on. These people need to start looking how disgusting and vile animals these people are. That's where that guy said, was it a medication? The lady asked, was it a medication error made her sick before? He said, yes. We verified it. It was a medication error. He said, and he was letting somebody else use their insurance. We verified that too. She's like, none of this is funny. He said, I know. He said somebody even started telling people nobody was allowed to help her. And it got around, and all those, he said, we keep an eye on her here and there, but all those things happened to her. Everybody ought to be scared to death. The FBI can't open a case and just walk off and leave it. And they did. And those agents that were laughing at me stole $290,000. Who do you think gave them the password to listen through my car speakers or my cell phone or my homes I've lived in? And where the police are supposed to keep an eye on me. You're supposed to protect. Not just sit back with popcorn. Oh my God, did they almost try to kill Karen again? A real life horror movie. You're supposed to come running. Like they said, if the FBI wouldn't enlist her informant with statements, even the police couldn't watch her. No, they couldn't. It's entrapment. It's the Fourth Amendment. The right of the people to be safe and secure within your own person. If you don't want anybody to touch you, they can't touch you. It's assault otherwise. Okay? No, their places, their homes, their papers and effects against all unreasonable searches or seizures shall not be violated. If you want to jump to the Department of Justice, the Department of Justice looks at your home as a castle and it shall not be entered into. Okay? No searches, no seizures, but upon probable cause, warranted, you have to have a court order, of people's places, and with the oath and affirmation, Miranda rights, okay, of the people, places, and things to be searched and seized. They have to notify you. They have to tell you why they're there and why they're searching the place and what they're taking. Otherwise, it's thrown out. It's the Fourth Amendment. Police and agencies can only be in a home watching you under a threat of life with statements. Otherwise, it's entrapment. It's thrown out because you have the right to remain quiet and a right to an attorney and a right to a fair court trial, bail, and bond. They can't. Drug cartels cannot just break in your home, roofie you. What they did to me is called needling. I looked it up. They actually put the roofies in a needle and a syringe, and they break it and jab you. And in 45 seconds, you're under their control for 4 to 6 hours. And you're sleepwalking. That way, you wake up with a bruise, you're throwing up, your heart's racing, you're dizzy, you have a massive headache. And that way, they can rape you and you don't know what happened to you. You're not in trouble for being victimized on satanic levels. And these idiot people running around like, she's in trouble for that. Why? I look at them as like, you're brain dead, right? The drug cartel and retired Judge Pete are trying to convince all these idiot people down here, and they call them idiot people, that they can break in people's homes. They can date rape drug them, tell them to say something stupid, lie they have sodium pentothal reports, then laugh that it's date rape drugs. Meant to more than 10 people, and they went to the police, and the police have taped them, that they drugged me and told me to say stuff. And that they photoshopped a shower scene in another room, and how they framed me, and then they made fun of the FBI in person. See, some guy came up to me and said, you're an FBI informant. Don't ever forget who you are. You give them the times and dates and places of people to talk to and places of videos to pull to get them information. Remember who you are. See, that's where my friend from the Stark County Prosecutor's Office, the FBI can never drop you. They go to jail, the Department of Justice, to put them in jail. And I said, well, they already knew. He said, I don't care. That agent was only bullying you into staying quiet. He didn't even have the authority to ask you to stay quiet. I said, well, they already knew. He said, I don't care. He said, it takes a sitting judge to take your freedom of speech away. And then they can only do it under sequestered or grand jury, because we have a constitution, we have a freedom of speech. He said that he's only a higher law enforcement. He's only a higher police officer. He doesn't have that kind of authority. He was only bullying you. The only thing legal he did on that phone was list you informant with money immunity. As far as the FBI, they can never legally drop you. They can move you to another witness protection program, but they have to speak to you first. They owe you that money the rest of your life. It don't matter if you work 1 minute of the case or 5 minutes. You get them information on somebody, they owe you for the rest of your life, and then your immunity, so they can't go back and get you later. He said, he said no sitting judge would ever sign somebody losing their freedom of speech. He was only bullying you. And I looked it up. The only thing they can put in a witness protection program is the $60,000 a year, living, housing expenses, a medical card, and then the immunity. So nobody can touch you for telling on somebody. And 95% of the people in witness protection programs are criminals. And they wipe it all out. And they can't be charged for nothing again. 95% are criminals. Only 5% are victims. Get the idea? They thought a sapping sucker that some drug cartel is already drugging up and framing them, and someone calls after them, and we'll just turn her back over to them, and we'll steal her money, and she lives. And they took off and left me. But who gave them the password to my car, my phone, and the thing? They sold technology, FBI technology. There was another FBI agent that was retired, was working with the Russians. It was on Google. Another FBI agent stole $225,000 from a case. They stole $290, not counting the sale of the login of the case. They've made millions off of me. And they've let the human traffickers and drug traders run wild down here for almost 5 years. And thousands of people have been taken and killed. That's how not funny they are. Let all this happen. And where my one friend on January 20th, 23, I got a friend on the police department. They knew about the case that agent opened with you. He said they knew about the Texas group, and I'm like, the Kingsmen? He said, is that what they call themselves? And there was men dressed business casual looking at us. And he said there was a retired judge in Texas in this big human trafficking scam. That's what this is. He said they went down to question him. He killed himself. He said there's another retired judge, I think it's Louisiana, I'm not for sure, January 20th, 23. My phone's tapped. It would have a recording. It records if I'm on it or not. That they went down and they talked to him, okay? Or they know about him. They know about him. And they're going to use your case that agent opened with you to get these drug traders that are human trafficking people. He said they found 35 people tied up in a railroad car, and the African American people they were taking, they were shooting them and throwing them along the railroad tracks. And they're finding bodies. He said, and the police aren't releasing a lot of information. They're getting ready to take care of this. And he said, you have so much hurt and pain in your eyes. These people tortured me. They tortured me. And they showed it to the littlest 5-year-old little girls. Don't come home and say stuff to me. Okay? Alright. And he started drilling me until I was stuttering. And I cried for 2 days. 3 weeks later, the sheriffs and marshals did an 800 people sweep. They got the Buffalo, New York people that were here, people from Michigan, Florida, Texas, California, and a bunch of other states. There was over 188 in Ohio. They actually pulled the case. They mentioned where they were taking people in Florida. They'll find the doctors also saying they're grabbing people for experiments, and the people in that part too. And they have killed my one co-worker, Lori's family member, and laughed in her face how they cut her up in pieces. And they took my house manager, Marlisa's niece, and in daylight. They have stolen 1,072 children out of Ohio between January and May of this year. Not counting women. They tell everybody not to tell them because they don't want to go to jail. It's the drug traders, human trafficking people. Like the main cop said, none of this is funny. The FBI left her up there and we weren't allowed to tell her. All these people have been down here with fake FBI badges, fake CIA badges. They were even in Faith Family Church saying they worked the case and they were FBI and CIA. And they were nothing but drug traders, human trafficking people. I'm going to upload this.